In this giant box right here, which barely fits on my desk, we have the Gigabyte MO34WQC2, a curved ultra-wide 1440p 240Hz monitor. And did I also mention it's an OLED as well? Pretty much the only compromise made here is the fact that it isn't 4K, though given the fact that it is 240Hz, it will make sense. Not too many games would even drive that kind of frame rate. Inputs, you have two of the faster HDMI 2.1 ports and also one slower DisplayPort 1.4 port. However, whichever one you're running, you'll still get enough bandwidth to support default resolution and refresh rate. It also has audio jacks for your mic and headphones, as well as one USB Type-C, two USB 3.2 Type-A ports, and a Type-B port, which can be used as part of Gigabyte's key VM system, allowing you to control multiple computers with just a single set of peripherals. Now, right off the bat, one of the big things about having something larger like the FV43U is the fact it kind of hides the cables better. Here, because of the way they're positioned right in the middle, it's pretty much impossible to have them be nicely hidden away, and they'll probably just end up looking something like this. And where you plug in the power is especially awkwardly placed, where I couldn't even properly reach it from the power bar underneath my desk. It is also crazy thin, or at least the main panel itself. Behind the unit itself is a bit bulkier. Okay, and with everything on, man, even in a desktop, I love how good modern OLEDs look, and that you can have such fantastic contrast even on just a desktop monitor now. Now, in terms of things like HDR, it definitely isn't the brightest, however it's still probably good enough at this kind of price. So of course we have to try this out with Cyberpunk. And okay, even though what I said about the HDR-ness of this HDR display may not being the best by modern standards, if we look at how bright these parts of the scene are right here compared to some of the darker ones, especially down here, it is still pretty good. Don't worry, I'm not one of those HDR files that hates anything under HDR 1000. The perfect blacks of the OLED are also doing an incredible job here. And this thing does actually boast a 99% coverage of the DC IP3 color gamut as well, meaning that you can get some actual work done on it as well. And I know it's probably hard to see in a video, but still, look at this. Look at how good this looks right here. How bright those purple neons can still get, but also how, you know, this right here, this alleyway, is pitch black right next to it. And given how it is an OLED, I don't think I have to mention this, but there is no blurring or ghosting of any kind either. It also has AMD FreeSync Premium Pro support, and while it is not certified by Nvidia whatsoever, you can still turn on G-Sync on it with no issues, so make sure to do that. Now there's one more thing I want to try out, and it's the speakers, which, as you can hear, yeah, they aren't the best, but let's be honest, you probably won't be using them anyway. They're just there just in case. They are very tinny, but like whatever, you won't be using them, and I couldn't care less about them. Now, let's talk price. This thing is gonna cost you $680 right now, though it can also be found on sale, and there really isn't too much I can complain about with this thing, which is a shame because complaining is kind of my whole thing, apart from maybe just the fact that I don't like where some of the ports are positioned. Getting this thing unboxed was a nightmare, and also I personally would switch out the 240Hz refresh rate for a 4K resolution instead. Even if it does make it a bit more expensive, I'd say it will be a decent enough trade-off rather than just having a super high refresh rate that you may not notice and you can just, you know, convince yourself makes you a better gamer. Another thing to consider is that guys like Asus, LG and others already have displays in the exact same form factor. However, the Gigabyte model does win out on price, at least right now. The one thing you have a much harder time finding on any of its competitors is an 1800R curve like what this monitor boasts. So if you want to get this thing yourself, then our Amazon and Newegg links will be up in the iCards and down in the video description below, where you're also going to find our Patreon, because even a single $1 a month truly goes a long way. Plus huge thanks to Gavin Burns, Justin Rage, Ella Roniak, Bada Shvoka, Patrick Harrison, Not a Pseudonym, Meg Sumner and Shane Allcraft. But anyway, that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye everyone. Goodbye.